Kate Lord-Brennan's with us, and in part two we're looking ahead really more, but we could go in all directions, who knows. Let's try and look ahead with the crystal ball. I mean, so many things are going on, you know, finances are tighter probably than ever. What's it look like from your point of view when you've got to see all these things going on behind the scenes and make policy, decide policy with your team?
Yeah, I guess the key word that comes into my head straight away is focus, and probably second will be stewardship. Because we cannot, and I think that through the COVID period time, this isn't just on the Isle of Man, it's overall, there's been this expectation that government can solve and intervene in everything, and we see this on a local level, and we see this nationally and internationally. But there will be now, I think, a need to reflect on further on the core things that government must do, should do and can do well.
Are you saying that smaller government here?
Absolutely.
Because it's getting out of control from all accounts. Well, getting bigger, certainly.
Well, over the past 5 years or so, there has been an increase in numbers. But when you look at those numbers, a lot of them are genuinely
in the right places.
They are in healthcare positions and things like that.
I take that totally.
But I think that where there is sort of replication going on, that is something that we need to be conscious of in terms of efficiency. But also, if you recognise that there's only so much that government can do, you want to do the basics well, right? So I said that during the election campaign. It was on everybody's lips at the start of the administration. I still absolutely believe that now. So I think that there will be a need. I think you'll probably be driven from, it's going to have to really be sort of owned by departments, but recognised across the board. And I'm sure Treasury recognise this is going to have to be cost improvement plans and focus on efficiency and better delivery. And we've had all the things that have been brought out actually out of the Roslyn Ransom case, which means...
Wow, you're the first one to actually bring that up. That's
right.
Amazing, because it's been such like a silence from everybody. Go on then.
Well, it drew out a lot of issues, didn't it?
Yeah, and these people come under you, don't they?
A lot of things. Well, not really have been brought to me, but effectively has meant that the centre of government has had to respond to these things. So that's now that there has been changes. That absolutely has. So it may not be noticeable. There were various changes from May pretty quickly. So I guess it has to become part of your interest in how government is functioning and things like that. So there is that element. Those things are going to have to continue. There's been various things announced in that respect, and I'll be keeping a close eye on those things. But then the flip side of that is that the public still want good delivery, and absolutely right, that should be the case. So I think that amongst all the demands, I see the future as being something where we need to constantly remind ourselves as to what government can do and should do, and to try and make that happen in the best way possible, the core commitments that people need.
Haven't there been a trust issue about this whole ransom thing though? What was going on behind the scenes? And it's still technically ongoing, but we can talk about things as far as I know now. I mean, a lot of, I say changes have been made, but the trust issue, back to this, I mean, can we trust the civil servants and these people that come under your department and that sort of thing? Because they've been wanting up to now, and that's why these changes had to come about. How to respond to that?
It has thrown a lot of concern over general handling to do with things like whistleblowing and complaints and things like that, and actually managerial responsibility. I should be clear, I've not been involved in anything to do with the Roslyn Ransom case or any DHSC decisions as to that. So I feel like I'm kind of watching all of this stuff unfold. Probably
not a very pretty sight, has it?
No, it's not. And so then my focus has been where things have been announced. Obviously, the Chief Minister announced a whole range of things, like really quickly, about various different reviews. There's been change in staffing, and the role of OHR is being reviewed, as well as the role of the Chief Secretary. So this matter about culture, somebody said to me the other day, culture will eat plans for breakfast. And the point that they were making, and I was very grateful that this person came to speak to me, the point that they were making, that you can have all the plans that you want, but actually the thing that will address culture within the public service will effectively be about accountability and oversight and clear management and responsibility. And that stuff the reality of that stuff is not happening day to day by the minister. But this is why you need a well-functioning, strategic but caring OHR.
And trusted,
but it's that interaction between officers for human resources and the government departments in terms of the officers there that can actually get greater confidence in all of this. But I think that people should be assured, absolutely, by the measures that have already been brought in. We've got the integrity line that has been launched for the public service to be able to call if they've got any issues. That's dealt with sort of in an initial independent way. So there's that. And then also there's the an updated whistleblowing policy, which is chair of the Public Services Commission. I was keen to see that was far more accessible. And the interim chief secretary has been talking to various departments.
And yet we had this very unpalatable bit with the DHSC and the fighting in courts about what could be done. And what I mean, you must be involved in that decision making.
No, you just hear. That's the thing. So the structure of government as it stands is that we have individual departments. Yeah. Some things are matters for council of ministers, and other things where it's dealing with particularly the, the individual legal personality of a department. It's not the case that absolutely every single decision a department makes comes to council of ministers. I think that's helpful to know because it speaks to the structure of government and actually how things happen. So I'm clearly interested in things improving for the running of government, for good public service, and to sort of restore the confidence of and in public service.
You see, that's the thing, restoring confidence. That's great. I mean, I'm hearing positivity here, which is amazing. Well, with the time we've got left, I mean, what other things you got planned this year? Have you got big things to take through? Anything that you're working on big time?
Well, I think in government the next thing will be about the next sort of updates to the island plan. Okay. That's a long-term plan.
That's just going on, isn't it? I mean,
so that will
work in progress.
That will just go on. So there's nothing in particular that I have got that I'm saying, right, I'm going to bring forward, because in the past year the things that I've dealt with has been to do with Ukraine. So that has been rolled out, successfully in terms of welcoming for the first time Ukrainians from the island.
Kind of all got the plan, but have we got how many people here these days from Ukraine? Do we know?
Well, it's hit the 100 mark now.
It has.
It has, and wow. I think this has been dealt with sort of quite quietly, because effectively, and again, government didn't have to be pushed into this. So that's another point I would make. So we've had changes and improvements to do with actually grasping stuff to do with climate change, or dealing with issues to do with supporting, playing our international role in the humanitarian effort for Ukraine, where we haven't had this battle with Tynwald, which is like, you must do this. Government has actively grasped these issues and said, let's do it, let's sort these things out. So that's a noticeable change. So that's happened. I want to see things like the built environment issues that are coming up. We need to make the island better for younger people and to have the right infrastructure provision. So something that have already been sort of key in leading on was the built environment reform programme. So again, that from a policy perspective, that is done. So I'm looking forward to seeing the kind of the next steps of that being rolled out. So I think at this point in time there isn't anything in particular I've got my sights set on. But
I've got to give you a compliment, by the way, because when you first did interviews with me, you were so not liking it. Now you come across with this positivity. Is that something you've learned? I mean, not just doing interviews, but you got into this whole thing of how being still very keen on the job. You have enthusiasm, which not everyone necessarily has the same amount.
I care. I think this is this is the bottom line. I care, and there's stacks of things that I want to sort out on a constituency level as well, and so I just keep trying to do the next thing.
How do you rate yourself out of 10, please?
I'm not rating.
Oh, you're one of those.
I know, I'm party people, aren't I?
It's all right, no. I can't make you do anything. But
I'm sure someone somewhere will rate me at some point.
They will be underneath these. Can you give me a government one, though, at all? How the government's done? I'm
not going to do the scoring, because I think...
play along here, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me try this one.
Have
they done poorly, done all right? They've done very well. I mean, how's that?
It has been an absolute marked improvement, 100% of how it was.
Because they Howard there, weren't you? So you weren't a fan of Howard Quayle, let's put it that way, or his administration?
I think that there is an openness of tone and engagement over policy issues and a will to resolve things in the right way for people that is now coming out, and that's a much better way. You know, you've got to have that balance.
So we should all trust in the government, and we're going in the right direction. Just finish with, yes?
Yes. Yes. Yes.